Viewers, welcome to NWC Online Math and Physics. My name is NWC Emmanuel. So in this video, we are going to continue from where we stopped. We stopped at we discussed law of indices in our previous lesson, right? We talk about indices. We talk about law of indices, right? Yes, law of indices. Now, we've explained multiplication law, we've explained division law. So now let's go to the next law. The next law, which is number 3. Then the third law is power law. Power law of indices. So power law of indices. That is the third law of what? Indices. When we're talking about power law of indices, it's just that when a number is raised to a power and also is raised again to another power, so we use power law of indices to solve that particular question. For example, if you have y raised to power a brackets raised to power of b, so if you have something like this, you say a number is raised to a power and also is also raised to what? Another power. So if you have something like this, we are going to apply the power law of what? Indices. And the power law of indices states that whenever a situation like this, whenever we see something like this, what we are going to do is that we are going to multiply the power. Just you multiply this power like this. Y is equal to a, the inner power, times the outer power b. So your result becomes y raised to power what? Ab. So this is what the power law is telling us, that when we have something like this, so this should be our what? Result. For example, now if you have 2 raised to power, should we say 2 raised to power 3 now? 2, yes, 2 raised to power 2 raised to the power of 2, something like this. Let's use this. Now if you have something like this, so we are going to apply power law. Yes, we are going to apply power law of indices. Now the law states that you are going to what? Multiply the inner power what? With the what? Outer power. So you have 2 raised to power 2 times 2. You see now? So you have 2 raised to power 2 times 2 is what? 4. And 2 raised to power of 4 is what? 16. So that is what the power law is telling us, that whenever we have something like this, this is how we are going to do it. So you multiply the inner power with what? The outer power. Now the next one is what? Product power law. Product power law. Product power law of indices. Now in this product power law, you see now, it's just product of what? Power law. So now product power law is telling us that whenever we have 2 numbers multiply each other and they are raised to a power, even though the 2 number is raised to a power, but so far that it's not only one number, this one is only one number, it's only what? One number raising to what? To a power. So far that it's only one number raising to a power, we are going to apply what? Power law. But now look at this product power law. If you have xy, let me just start with this, xy raised to power a, xy raised to the power of a. So you see now that it's not only one number that is raising to the power. Is that clear now? It's not only one number that is what? Raising to the power. It's x and y raising to that what? That power. Now the product power law is telling us that whenever we have 2 numbers like this raising to power, so we are going to apply product power law by doing x raised to the power of a times y raised to the power of a, because this power affects both x and y. So the power affects both x and also what? Y. So when we have something like this, then this, don't forget that this is power 1, right? And this is power 1, right? Very good. Now what we are going to do is, now we have split it, right? Then power law come into the equation, because it's what? Product power law. It doesn't mean that we are going to neglect power law. We are still going to bring power law into the equation. Now, but it's telling us that we should not treat this as a power law, because in power law we only have one number raising to a power and also raising to another power. Because if you should treat this xy raised to the power of a, if you should treat it like this xy a, so it will not make sense, because this power is affecting both x and y. So that is why it's not advisable to use it this way. So that's why it's advisable to split it and distribute the power. You say the power will be distributed to each of them. Now, x raised to the power 1 raised to the power of a. So you apply power law here. X raised to the power 1 times a times y raised to the power 1 times a. So when you solve this, you have x raised to the power 1 times a is a times y raised to the power 1 times a is what? A also. So you have x raised to the power of a, y raised to the power of a. So that is the answer. So that is why it's called product power law. Like example now, look at this again. When you have s raised to the power of 2, y raised to the power of 3, and both of them again is raised to the power of 2. Yes. And both of them again is raised to the power of 2. Now, how are you going to solve this? See how you are going to solve it. Now, you are going to distribute it as the product power law has stated. You say you are distributing it x raised to the power of 2. This one, we take this, x raised to the power of 2, we take the power of 2 like this, times y raised to the power of 3, we take the power of 2 again. So you are going to split it in such a way like this. Now, see what we are going to do now. As I have splitted it, now what are you going to do? Apply power law. Yes, you have x raised to the power 2 times 2. 2 times 2, the inner power times 1, the outer power, times y raised to the power 3 times 2. So you have x raised to the power of 2 times 2 is what? 4. Times y raised to the power of 3 times 2 is what? 6. So when you multiply this together, x raised to the power of 4 times y raised to the power of 6, you have x raised to the power of 4, y raised to the power of 6. This becomes your answer. So that's why it's what? Product power law. So the next law, I'm going to stop here. In the next video, we continue again. The next law is zero index. Zero index. So zero index is telling us that whenever any number is raised to the power of 0, the answer is 1. When you have 5 raised to the power 0, you have 1. X raised to the power 0, you have 1. Y raised to the power 0, you have 1. Any number at all that raises to the power of 0 becomes 1. Even 1 itself that raised to the power of 0 becomes what? 1. Even 0 that raised to the power of 0 becomes what? 1. So any number that raises to the power of 0 becomes 1. So that is what the zero index law of indices is telling us, that any number that raised to the power of 0 becomes 1. So if you really enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment and share. Also subscribe for more video, because in our next class we are going to explain the other laws of indices, and after the explanation we move to questions in different past questions. So please subscribe for more video. Thank you. God bless you.